We're Katie, Michael and Indy, and we're travelling around Europe in our self-converted van, Dippy, with new vlogs out each week documenting our travels. This week is our last week in Italy before we edge our way out of the Schengen zone and head towards Turkey for winter. Today is one of those days where we don't know what we're doing, or where we are. Generally know where we're heading towards, but we ended up in the mountains again and it's freezing and we don't know where we are. So
yeah,
that's the update basically, and we're just walking to, we think, a waterfall, and there's a dog kicking off. Potentially might be in a ski village. Probably not supposed to be driving on these roads because it's got all snow warnings everywhere. But here we are. After a long mountainous drive, pretty much the only place to stop was a small mountain village. And despite the lack of planning, rubbish, drizzly weather and it being absolutely freezing, we ended up finding a really cool walk, and randomly in the woods, this happened. What have we just found, Michael?
Just €100 on the floor. Easy money, that.
What is with this week? Just a bit wet, a bit dirty, but buzzing.
Looks good to me.
Let's go get some heating on. Real? We didn't see a single soul to ask or hand the money into on the walk or in the village, as it was deserted. So we took this as fate and put it away for a rainy day. Back to the walk, we followed the fast flowing river surrounded with beautiful woodlands and secluded farm cottages before we came to this old stone bridge. The river drops from waterfalls into deeper aqua blue pools. When we looked it up on Google, it says that people swim in it in the summer months too. It was so beautiful here, it felt very autumnal English countryside vibes. So this is where we stayed last night, just in this car park, in this lovely little mountain village. We went on our little walk and then it got real cold real fast and we had the heating on for the first time. And it was actually so good. We put it on to like 18 degrees, blasted it for a little bit and then turned it off when we went to sleep, and it was basically warm all night until this morning, and it is cold this morning again. The next day we started our drive towards country number 5, somewhere we wanted to tick off whilst we were crossing through North Italy.
Republic de San Marino!
We've just driven 2 hours-ish to get to our country number 5, San Marino. We're just hiking up to the castle at the top of the hill, walking past the cable cars, because that is cheating, and we are walking. We soon came to the stairs that led up to the castle, and even though it felt like we'd already parked really high up, it was still a steep incline to the top. But just moments into our climb, we already had amazing views. At the top, we found the entrance through the castle walls, where we found some of the most amazing views we've seen all trip. There was something really unique about this landscape, and although it was a misty day, this just added to it. With the red tile roofs of San Marino and the layers and layers of hilly countryside that seemed to go on forever. Once in the castle walls, San Marino continues to go up and up, giving us so many different viewpoints to admire the scenery. It starts to get a bit more touristy inside the castle walls, with lots of touristy shops and restaurants. There was even gun and samurai sword shops here. We took our time walking around the many layers of the castle before coming to the top, where you can walk along the walls of the 3 watchtowers. We really liked San Marino, the views here are something else. And inside the castle it had a really nice vibe to it and felt really authentic and unspoiled, even for a touristy place. We have ice in the van!
Oh my god.
It was officially cold.
Do you want some ice?
Ice is nice. The next day we found a hike in the neighbouring village so we could explore the surrounding landscapes just outside of San Marino. And you know you're in for a pretty hike when the drive to the starting point looks like this. We've left San Marino today to go on a lovely walk because it's our last sunny day for a few days now, and we've just parked next to this castle thing. Our hike took us higher to get more amazing views of the fortress of San Leo and the surrounding hilly countryside, and as expected, it didn't disappoint. Before we hit the road to our next destination, we went to check out the football stadium, where we couldn't believe our luck. After circling the whole ground looking for a good place for Michael to get a photo, we found the fans' entrance where the gate was randomly wide open, and not only that, so was the gate to the actual pitch. This was a really cool experience, even for someone who doesn't like football. Not a single soul about, and with amazing views from the pitch of the castle on the hill in the background, it felt very surreal. But also very much like we shouldn't be there, so we quickly moved on and headed up the coast towards our next Italian city. We're going to Venice! After a very lazy 3 days, but we absolutely loved it. And the sun has come out, so we've timed it very well to get to Venice.
Relax in the rain.
Yeah, it was so cosy and so Christmassy, and we've watched so much Harry Potter, and it was great. Yeah. But now we're going to Venice. We parked in Spenia train station for the day as it was free parking, it felt safe to leave the van, and it was only 2 stops away from Venice. The second we got out of the train station, we were so impressed. Just look at that. We stepped straight into the heart of Venice with the main river in front of us, lined with beautiful buildings and taxi boats. We absolutely loved our day in Venice. We came on a random sunny December day, so it didn't feel too busy or touristy at all. I found all our city days quite stressful, but here we just strolled around and explored the little streets. I later realised that it felt so calm because of the fact there was no cars, so it made walking around with Indy a lot less stressful. First things first, it wouldn't be a city day without some rogue food choices. Was it? Is it chicken?
No. It's like a Greg's sausage roll.
Now we need to choose a pudding. What now?
Oh, not bad.
What is it? Torta ricotta.
Yeah.
Can I have one of these? Cannoli.
Holy
cannoli. With half-satisfied stomachs, we headed to this bookshop where we'd seen online that you can get a free photo in one of the gondolas. But unfortunately, it was closed for winter. But it was still a really unique shop to check out. Onto the main square and the cathedral, which was of course covered in scaffolding and had a long queue outside even in winter. So we found entertainment elsewhere. Weirdo. He's got a pigeon. Hang on. You got another one. Come closer on this. They won't like Indy though. I hope it poos on you. You loving Venice?
Yeah, it's great.
I'm loving Venice.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty. And we had the best pudding.
I want one of these gondola hats though. Just need that Indian face.
It's nice. After walking around the front with the evening creeping up on us, we headed back to the van. This wasn't Indy's favourite day of the trip, as she's scared of trains, water and bridges. Buongiorno!
Buongiorno!
Buongiorno! We've drove about two and a half hours yesterday from Venice up towards Trieste, because very exciting weekend. My dad's coming out to see us, so we're literally just in some random supermarket car park, which was great fun last night, and we're going to go pick him up now, which is very exciting, Indy! Granddad! And I've got a full itinerary planned for the weekend for us. Yeah. Lots of Christmassy things, because it's literally 12 days till Christmas, and I'm sweating in this fleece, to be honest. It's hot, it's sunny, we're in Italy, and we don't feel Christmassy. So hopefully this weekend, lots of mulled wine, even though we couldn't even find any mulled wine in the supermarket. They don't even bloody sell it. So homemade mulled wine for us tonight.
All the structured fun.
All the structured fun, all the itinerary. Has to be done on a city break. But yeah, we're going to go pick them up from the airport now. We had such a fun, long weekend with Dad and Chris in Trieste. We ate lots of amazing foods like pizza, pastas, delicious desserts, and many, many Aperol Spritz and mulled wine were consumed. And it was the perfect place to finally get us feeling festive. Trieste is such a beautiful city, and they go all out for Christmas. There's beautiful decorations everywhere you look, with different markets, an ice rink, events spread out throughout the city, and they actually have a day-by-day Christmas events calendar of what's going on and when, which I was absolutely here for. There was carols, shows, antique markets, and not forgetting the dark horse of the events calendar, the bubble show, which was exactly that, bubbles. But this was actually so cool, set in the main square with the background of stunning historical buildings lit up with Christmas lights and the surrounding glistening Christmas trees. This generally made me so happy. We also caught the carol singers in the square the next day, which felt really wholesome to stand in the street and listen to them.
Just like the ones I used to know.
We found a park up that was close to Dad's hotel, which actually ended up being right next to the castle and the city's viewpoint, which was super pretty but did mean we were constantly climbing back up to the top of it each night after a massive pizza, pasta and or a few drinks. I took a walk around the top of the castle at sunset, and although it's not got a vast amount of views like other city viewpoints we've been to, I did find a few snippets of the sun setting over the harbour and over a small part of the city where I found a cafe and people enjoying the views. Trieste city itself is really beautiful and quite a big city, with lots of streets to get lost in, so many shops, cafes, restaurants and bars, which we definitely explored. Everywhere we went was really reasonably priced too. A personal favourite was that in all the bars, when you order a drink, you get snacks of crisps, nuts, bread, meats and cheese, and we even had bits of pizza in one bar. But when going for a pre-dinner drink, it can get pretty dangerous, which we found out on night one. We ended up staying in the same bar for hours because it was such a good vibe. The drinks, the music and the service was great, and most importantly, we were no longer hungry for dinner. Trieste is on the coast but doesn't actually have a beach in the centre, just the harbour, so we explored a few places outside the city too. As the airport was 40 minutes away from the city and on our first day we were blessed with the most glorious sunshine, we took a short coastal walk in the village of Junio. This walk had beautiful views of the castle on one side and a harbour on the other, all with the glistening blue sea and bright blue sky. We did go slightly off course of the route, giving Dad a bit of adventure on day one. On our last day we also took a coastal route in an area called Barcola, just outside of Trieste. There is a few small beaches here and steps going into the sea. You can tell it gets super busy in summer as it had public changing rooms all along the coast. It's a really nice, easy coastal path that you can walk along for miles. I think you could even walk all the way to Miramar Castle from there, which brings us to our last stop, Miramar Castle. We left Michael in the van to have his online Spanish lesson whilst we walked around the castle grounds, and I can see why it's one of the top recommended things to do whilst in Trieste. The gardens and the castle are beautiful. We got there just before sunset too, so the light was amazing, and we started to get the candy-coloured skies. The gardens are so well kept even in late December. We walked around these for a good hour and a half, and it was well worth the drive and was also free to enter. You can pay to go inside the castle too, so could easily make this a full day trip from Trieste. 10 out of 10 would highly recommend. A beautiful end to a fun-filled Christmas weekend in Trieste. Dad was 100% on top form with comedy gold all weekend, which I mostly caught on my phone, so I think it's only fair he gets a best bits moment. So here they are, the best bits of Desmas 2024.
That was a long walk.
We're not done yet.
38k. Back's hurting a bit now.
Shoes?
Shoes, a lot to be desired. Italy. I know, that's brilliant.
Yep.
Nice. We've got some brown sauce wine. What are we doing now? Oh, cheers again. Get it! Tea up.
Tea up.
The old Lord Nelson.
Hamburger.
Quite well enough though.
What now?
One of these. Give me some paper.
Cause I got high again and forgot to fold my glove.
Disappointing, I must say it was quite disappointing at first, but perfect tour. There's been some really good bubbles. So I would say good entertainment.
Good.
Back to the studio. You know what I mean? You know what you do, don't you? If you want to press the like
And subscribe.
subscribe, you can do, but it doesn't really matter to me. It's not mine. Back to the studio. That's a great catchphrase, that isn't it?
Join us next week as we start our first Schengen shuffle of the trip, driving from Italy to Turkey, where we'll spend 3 months over winter to regain our 90 Schengen days. We'll pass through beautiful Slovenia, spend Christmas in Croatia, last less than 24 hours in Serbia before reaching Bulgaria and realising we'd made a huge mistake and needed to get to the Turkish border ASAP. See you next week!